So anyways, trying to get the camera angle right here. It's all of being professional. You can tell I'm in Japan because of the laundry rack, or laundry rat, whatever you want to call it. But basically, this is living in Tokyo versus U.S. This is part 3. You can watch them in whatever order you want. And basically, I'm not some stupid punk that visited here for a month and thinks he knows about Japan, or some stupid idiot freaking English teacher chick that's been here for a year that thinks that she knows about Japan or living in Japan or Tokyo or any of that stuff. I've been here for 9 years, so I'm the real deal. So can't get this in America yet. Maybe someday. I don't think you can. Anyway, so basically, I covered. It's basically this is living in the States versus living in Japan, and so far you'd want to look at my other videos if you want to see about medical, transportation, racism, living, environment. That kind of thing, housing, porno, sex, all that other stuff. I should be able to wrap it up in this one and kind of get on it. I talked about porno mostly as a domestic market, and then I was getting into the film business a little bit. And then, I guess my story is, like, God, I'd go bragging into that, but, basically the movie industry is they have really qualified crews. They have good directors, they have good actors, they have good writers, they have good stories. I mean, they have the capability to do really good international movies in the international movie market, and I would naturally have a selfish ulterior motive for that, but they don't seem to care about the international market that much here in Japan, so it's mostly the Japanese videos or shows or movies or talk shows or TV is just basically for the Japanese, by the Japanese, done by the Japanese, to be watched by the Japanese, and that's it. They're not thinking about international market. And then I went over about how the States is kind of, they think about international market more, but in a lot of ways they don't, because they don't really write stuff for international market. They write it more for U.S. ego, and then it seems to spill into international market because they're big budget and they have a lot more stuff. But they have all the crew, they have all the ability to compete in the international market well. Some very famous movies have come out of here, as if you know Godzilla, which I could probably get cut out of it real easy. It was just a small part. And then Kurosawa, the famous, it wasn't the Magnificent Seven, but Seven Samurai is a very, very famous, very good movie. I recommend you'd want to catch that and all that stuff. But oh yeah, on the media here, we usually get movies here about 8 months to a year late, unless some way you're like a computer whiz and you can spy it down or pry it down off the internet early. I mean, for the general population, when you go to the DVD store, it's probably already been on the shelves in the States for about 8 months. But that's all about marketing and releasing and how to milk the money for the most movie they can and all of that. So that's a different thing. I came over here, I got lucky. Freaking flat out luck. Never studied acting. Didn't really care about acting. Never really gave it much thought. And I'm going to go into my ego, but The major English teaching school, Nova, went bankrupt, which I guess they're starting back up or whatever. So there's like 15,000 English teachers out of work. And then I was looking for a job, and I didn't have any experience, and I couldn't speak Japanese and English that well. So they basically told me, we have to hire these people from Nova that got the experience first. It's nothing personal. We just, we need more qualified people, and Nova's out of business. So it was just really, really bad timing. And that's what I thought I was going to be. It was an English teacher. That was the game plan. And someone said, why don't you try doing modeling? And I kind of laughed at that. Like I would ever be a model or look like a model. I am no model. So, and then someone said, well, why don't you try doing some extra work? They do quite a bit of filming with foreign people, and they use foreign people for extra work. So I signed up for the biggest agency in Tokyo at the time, and started working about 2 days a week and 3 days a week, and then it was 4 days a week, and then I got lucky. They said, we're doing this reenactment show. You look exactly like the lead guy of the true story we're doing this show about. Can you do it? I'm like, I don't have any acting experience. I've never had any schooling. And I've just been doing extra work, and I'm not really interested. I don't really want to do that. And they were the biggest agency in Tokyo, and I thought, what will happen? What will be the repercussions if I don't take the job? And they go, well, you just probably won't work, or very much. And then he said that he would be on set. He was a casting director. I mean, he was a casting director, but also a casting coach too, as well. So he just walked me through the whole thing, scene by scene, translated between me and the director, told me where to hold all the props and where to move and when to move and what to say and when to say and how to say and how much and all that stuff. And he's an excellent acting coach. I mean, he's really good. I've worked with him since then, and he's made me look really good. If it wasn't for him, my work would have been squat, but because of his being such a good acting coach, he really helped me out a lot, and it shows it came out really well. But crews here are spot on. They're quick, they're fast. They can set up for a new scene in 5 to 10 minutes. We're talking lighting, props, prop angles, heights of props, lighting setup, everything, camera angles, different lenses to be used within the shots, transitions between the shots to different angles and all that stuff. I mean, they're just frickin' amazingly quick and good. The film crews are a lot quicker than any film crew I've ever worked with in the States, ever. So they have the capability and everything, and my ego says, well, yeah, naturally they should, so I can have a part in it or whatever. But I had I was at 22 days a month, I think. And we're talking that's 15 days like movie or Saigon work, dramatic work, and then that's like 5 days commercial work or commercial extra. And I was bringing in some serious bank, and I'm not going to tell you what I was making. But it was like LA prices, like Hollywood prices. I was making freaking good bank back then. I was making some serious bank. And then I had a brain injury and cancer. So that took me out of the game for about 2 years. So what happened was the first show I did, like I said, where I did this first show, I did a really good job because of the acting coach. I became like famous within the film community, and like every casting director at the time in town at that time knew who I was by name, and I didn't even know them. So my phone was like ringing off the hook every day saying, Monday, can we have Monday, Tuesday? Are you available Tuesday? Can we have you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Oh, no, I can give you second on Tuesday because I already got Tuesday booked, but on Monday I can give you a first. I mean, it was just I was always I just got lucky. It wasn't anything about acting ability, skill, or even really being good. It was just having the right look, and everybody knew me, and being in the right place at the right time. Connections, as it is. It was just luck, and it was a good run until I had my brain injury, my cancer. Then I fell out of the loop. So, like when you're gone from the set for 2 years, people forget about you. Casting directors, and that's also casting directors, agencies, people within the business here have a high turnover, so they forget about you, and there's new people and all that stuff. And like if you're buddies with some agents and some casting directors, naturally they're going to take you over somebody else that they don't know because they're comfortable with you. They know you're going to show up on time, and you drink beers with them on Sunday morning. So I just kind of fell out of the loop, and then I never made it back into the loop. And then a lot more competition moved in. There was less foreigners that looked like me, so I had less people to compete with, so I had less competition. And then also there was a lot more money going into the business. But ever since the big earthquake, the huge earthquake and tsunami that basically really decimated, just really messed things up here. I mean, Japan was a pretty powerful engine. It has been for a long time, but after that put a hurt on Japan, and they're still dealing with that. And well, who are the first people to get cut? The artists, the acting, the acting business, and all that. So. For me, basically, there, the bottom dropped out. I was like a has-been. It was like game over. And then now I'm like 10 years older, so I don't have hair because of chemo and all that. And then I'm 10 years older. I'm in a different market. I mean, 30 to 40s are people that are going to work the most because they can do cops. And there's a lot more roles. They can do cop, dad, doctor, a lot more roles for that age range. Whereas when you're in my age range, you're doing company boss, satcho, doctor, or like you're less in demand because they need less of those positions. They need more cops and security guards and the other doctors and emergency physicians and family members that are in that age range. That's just the way the market is. So that kind of put me out of the game, and being older and all that stuff, and then the money went out of the market, and then now there's a lot more competition. So I'm a has-been. I'm pretty much a washed up has-been. Someone that was there and has gone out of the loop, I guess. But there's people here that still work. There's contract models here. There's women that are making between like 7 to, I don't know, 15,000 a month for just living in the country, just to show up for a photo shoot. Twice a week, 3 times a week. They have a lot of that going on still. Contract model work. I know a guy that's from Australia. They like hand-picked him from Australia, and he's a contract model, so he gets a steady paycheck if he works 2 or 20 days a month. So he's got a good gig going on. And there's contract models for younger people or people that have the right look, that's demand for that market, that's in the right time and all that stuff. But like back in the day when I started in, I would say, come over, get an acting job now, move to Japan, sell everything you got, get on the plane, and you will go to work, and you will be able to work full-time as an actor, probably, no matter how you look, and probably your age range. Everybody was working. There was a ton of work, but Now it's just really fizzled out. And so for me, game's over, and then also my brain injury, that's a whole different story. I could do a video about that, but I shouldn't be alive. I had a traumatic accident, and I had a severe brain injury, and I had to have my brain operated on. And I don't know if you can still see it, but you know, when you have something happen to you, or like a brain injury, you always hope for the better. I mean, you hear all these stories about how the body heals itself and all that stuff, and how your bones will heal back up and you can walk, or your shoulder, your dislocated shoulder, they'll pop it back in a few years of physical therapy, it'll be fine, or your back. But my brain injury it's been like 9 years, and it's just like, it hasn't come back very much. And that's hard to take. You know, I used to be able to remember off the top of my head. I could remember a full month's schedule. I didn't have to look at a scheduler. And I could remember like 50 people's names and phone numbers right off the top of my head without looking at a book or anything. You know, and like when they would call me up for jobs and stuff, I could talk while I'm walking to the next train station, and I knew in my mind what my schedule was for that month. You know, but after my brain injury, so that's a factor too. You know, I can't work. I don't think I could play leads unless they really worked with me hard on it, and it didn't have a lot of dialogue, so. But that's life. I guess all you can do really is just be grateful that you're alive. I should be dead. I spent a week on a floor after my traumatic brain injury. I spent a week without food or water or any of that. My kidneys were shut down. My heart enzymes were shut down. My heart was at irregular rhythms. My brain function, my white, I forget what they call it, that part of the brain was dead. They didn't know how much I was going to come back. Now I can just barely take care of myself. You know, I'm just surviving. But I'm alive. I don't know what for. I don't know what I'm going to do. The ego always tells you if you live through something like that, you know, you're a total miracle, and the cancer, you're going to come up with some cure for something that will save humanity or do something. You have an important purpose to be here, but I don't know. But back on the media in Japan, I wouldn't really recommend coming here, really, unless you're a hot-looking chick and you're way under 25, you're 17, 18, and you've got the right look of what they're looking for, and that changes, the market changes. Or unless you're a young guy or something. And contact the agencies first and see if they'll take you on as contract, whatever. Otherwise, if you want to live here in Japan, you're probably going to be teaching English. So that's it. Unless you're really, really fluent in Japanese before you come here, then you can probably get into some like blue-collar jobs or a bouncer or restaurant or something like that, you know. So you would have to be fluent. As far as, like, I haven't covered that too much. As far as like getting stable or working here and everything, the more language you know is all to your advantage here. Although I know some actors that are working full-time that have been here like 20 years and they don't speak much Japanese, not even conversational. They can just ask basic directions and all that. So I'd recommend learning the language. Let's see what else. But I'm comparing it to the U.S. Yeah, in the U.S. you need to learn English to work a lot there. So what else? I already went through. It's safe, a lot less crime. People are pretty safe for the most part. It's quiet. People mind themselves, other than the idiot went up the street with a bike. Transportation's way better. I already went through that. Taxes are less. Food is the same or similar in a big city like Tokyo. You can get everything. It's just more special stores. You can get every cheese in the world or wine, whatever you want. Real estate, I already went over that. It's a little more spendy, and none of the houses are insulated. Education is bar none excellent. Some of the best universities in the world are here. Um, I take the train with these bright kids that eventually someday are going to be multi-billionaires. I mean, they're going to do very, very well in life. Some really bright kids that go to like KO University and some of the famous universities. So the colleges are good. Child rearing, raising a child here is an excellent idea. It would be a really safe place to have kids. I'd recommend it highly. If I had my choice, if I was going to have a child in the States versus Japan, hands down Japan. No questions asked. Maybe not the full child's life, but probably early childhood into the maybe 12s or 15s or something. I would highly recommend. Japan, service jobs, from what I know from some people that are in the service that are trying to get on base to get a regular gig over here, it's really tough, and it's kind of who you know to get that type of work. English jobs are a dime a dozen. You can get them. That's they've been cutting back on like the acting and everything. So a lot of teachers I know that were getting paid like 3, 4, 5,000 a month are getting paid like 2, 3,000 a month. So they're making less money. The health care, I already went over that. Religious things, I already went over that. Mindset, they're more like the pack people. Yeah, I covered alcoholism and drugs and all that in the other videos. Religion, I already covered that. Utilities, I haven't covered that. They're probably about the same as the States right now. They're about the same for everything, similar. Drinking water is pretty good quality. And then the food, I already covered that. The GMOs are all labeled, so you know what you're eating there. I guess products, maybe. I haven't covered that. So basically, like, I bought a quart of milk today, and it was $1.80. That's probably what you'd pay in the States. So food's pretty close, but some specialty foods or maybe some specialty items that you like from your home country that you have a preference for, you're probably going to pay a little bit more for that. On specialty items, but general items, they're about a third more generally on the food. Gasoline and all that's going to be about the same. Hotels are a little bit spendy here. They're a little more pricier. You have to search around. But it depends on the exchange rate. But those are compatible with the U.S., but the hotels are a little more expensive. But it's cheaper if you have the right exchange rate. And a nasty thing I'll get into on that is bed bugs. I was in the States 8 months ago, and I had my first experience with bed bugs at a hotel. And I asked the exterminator about it, and he just said that every hotel in LA has a problem with bed bugs. And they didn't have that. I don't think they have much of a problem with bed bugs here, but one time I got the crap bitten out of me. I got bit like 29 times. And I've stayed at, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 hotels since I've been here. So, but last time I got the crap bitten out of me. Water's about the same quality. Okay, the washlet. Once you try a washlet, you are never going back. You are never, ever. Here, wait a second. Isn't this beautiful? This is a really sweet tropical drink called a Chu-Hai that I never knew about, and this isn't a commercial until I did my very first commercial I did. They brought these skaters from LA to dance around with these fruit baskets on their head, and I wondered what it was, and then I had one of these, a Chu-Hai. And look, it's even got Braille. For the blind people to drink. Isn't that nice? Very considerate. But then on the flip side, for the person that wants to stay sober, that's in a sobriety, you want to watch out, because you see this, it looks like a regular fruit drink, and wham, next thing you just took a hit of alcohol, and then you got to decide whether you want to stay sober or not. So alcohol's cheaper here. And you can be a total blind drunk here if you're an alcoholic. This is a great country because you don't have to worry about getting a DWI. You just get on the train drunk or drink on the train. I've seen people drink on the train all the time. Drinking in public's okay, so it's like an alcoholic paradise. Drugs, I haven't gotten into that. Drugs here is a totally different ball game. I mean, if you get caught with just a simple thing like in pot in LA where I was before, you just get a prescription and you get prescribed pot, and I'm totally for medical marijuana. I don't have a problem with that. I used to smoke a lot of pot myself, but if they catch you with just a little bit of pot here, you get two choices. You can spend a lot of time in jail here, or they deport you and you are not coming back. You are a done deal. You are finished. You are no longer welcome in Japan, and that's it. And this one guy I knew that was an actor, he was in the middle of a big national TV series here. And they got him on a drug bust. I don't know what it was, whether he was selling a little bit of pot or not. I'm not going to give out his name, but you could Google it and find it if I did. I mean, it's there. And they gave him A or B. You know, you leave the country or you spend a lot of time in jail. And they don't always give you the phone call here. I mean, this is a jail system, and torture and all that stuff is totally different. And, you know, so you can spend a month in jail before you get a phone call just for getting caught with a little bit of pot. So I would recommend extreme caution in bringing drugs into this country. And there was a woman a few months ago that was a high-profile employee for a high-profile company. And she brought in some drugs, even though they were pharmaceuticals, and she tried to sneak them in or hide them in, and they found them in her suitcase, and then that was it. Regardless of her status or stature, she was done. Her career in Japan was done. But with the other guy, that was it. And he was fluent in Japanese. He was working full time. He was in the middle of a studio series, and even the studio's going, at least let this guy finish the series, for coherency of finishing the series. And they're just like, nope, he's out of here. So generally, they'll deport you, and you're not coming back. And then, far as the jail sentencing and the amount of time you get before you go is, I don't know. That's between you and the judge if that happens. But um, drugs here is a very, very serious penalty. You can drink alcohol until your brain melts on the train or everywhere, but if you pot or any illegal drugs at all, speed, meth, any of those drugs, it's a whole different ball game here than the States. And in a way, that's good because, like I said, you don't have all the dysfunctional, crazy criminal behavior like you do in the States here, just for that simple reason that a lot of it has to do with the drug laws here. It's really, really. If you come here, you want to come here with the idea that you want to stay clean and sober, or if you're drunk, you at least want to drink. But I wouldn't. I've worked with people and I've done drugs before, but it was been few and far between, and I have none in my possession, and I don't care to because I just don't want to take that chance. I'd lose everything I have here. So that's a big, big, big difference is the drug thing in Japan. So basically, you just don't want to mess around with it. You don't want to go there. I mean, you'll see kids wearing pot shirts, the pot leaf shirt, the marijuana leaf shirt. We all know what they look like. To be cool or whatever, to be in style and be fashionable, but that's just show. Because if they got caught with any, that's it. And they don't care how famous you are. It doesn't matter. There's been like famous pop stars, famous singers, famous actors that got drug busts, and then they got the A or B. You spend 5 years in jail, or you lose your citizenship, and you're gone, and you can't come back. So they have like a zero tolerance for the drug policy, and then driving drunk as well. Obviously with a lot of countries. So the drug thing is a night and day. So I would take that seriously and take that into consideration if you're even considering that. I mean, you have to figure, that I don't want to do that in that country because you don't. Not here. I don't think they have the death penalty. Like, where is it? Singapore. It's not that bad, but it's pretty severe. So I wouldn't even dream of coming here for Partyville and do drugs or any of that. I mean, just if you want to come enjoy the culture or tour the country or do what you want to do, sex addict, have your sex, or you want to raise a normal family or dysfunctional one, yeah. But as far as the drugs and alcohol, or the alcohol a little bit, but the drugs, it's a really, really serious deal in Japan. That's another issue that I wanted to bring up. It's a totally different ball game here. So you don't want to get involved with that. And they can even get you on, I don't know what you call it, guilty by association. So you can like not even be involved in that stuff, but you have like this best friend that is, and you're over at their house. They can bring you up on those charges and try to nail you for the same thing, even though you're not actively participating. So you don't even want to hang out with people that are doing it. And you don't even want to talk with people that you know about it. I mean, it's almost like taboo. Which, from viewing the stability of the country and how much more sane people here are than in the U.S. I think it's a good thing. But in the case of the U.S., I think drugs should be illegal. Should be legal. Because it's just already spun out of control there. The best thing they could do is legalize it so it wouldn't affect the collateral damage on the average person, that they wouldn't have to worry about their car getting ripped off or their stereo getting ripped off and all that. But the drugs is a serious one. We covered that. Illegal drug use, breaking laws, types of laws, all that. Basically, as a foreigner, you're going to get a more negative sentence. Unfortunately, with family members, you get married, you have a couple kids with a gal, she's Japanese. She just one day picks up, you're working long hours or whatever. This happened to a friend of mine. He's like a workaholic trying to make ends meet for the family and everything, and his wife just picked up and left. And there was virtually nothing he could do about it because she was Japanese, and it was really, really hard for him to see his kids again or ever visit his kids. Eventually he prevailed and got to be able to do that. There's a happy ending to that story, but that's another issue here too, is the childhood custody thing and all that stuff, and divorce and all that. Far as I know about the divorces, it's unless there's child involved, and maybe if there is child involved, if like both parents just agree, we're done with this marriage, we want to continue. Hear that? That is a freaking badass military copter. But anyways, so with divorce, it's a gamble. And as a foreigner, the courts are going to rule in favor of the Japanese people. So that's the way the court battles are going to go. Physical fights. Whoever picks the fight basically has to pay the medical bills and all that stuff. So if you get into fights, physical altercations, steal somebody's stuff, cause somebody physical harm, basically you're going to foot the bill for all that. There's no skating on that. If it's between a Japanese person, they're going to rule in their favor. It's just that's basically the way it is. The legal system is the Japanese person will get the favoritism in the court of law. So it's not like the States in that regard either. So I covered that one. The drugs. The holidays. Cell phones. They just basically gouge everybody. They're way overpriced. The cell phone service, the calls and everything is just over the top, way too expensive. It's pure greed. It's because like the size of Japan is so small compared to the States. They don't have to pay for as many cell towers and all that stuff, which is infrastructure, where you have to physically have people install all the stuff to make it all work. But it's just company greed. So the companies here are really pissed off about it, and I think even the government's intervening to try to get the cell companies to back off. So the cell service, your cell services, your phone services are going to be just way over the top. Your other utilities are going to be compatible with the States. That's the big difference. The cell service and all that would be way cheaper in the States. Okay. I guess getting friends or friendships and all that. Japanese level would improve, having friendships and relationships and all that stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be pretty lonely person. So you want to develop your Japanese speaking skills so you can have more friends. There's plenty of friends and plenty of people that want to meet you. But like I'm in Tokyo. I'm a Tokyo boy. I've been here most of my life in Tokyo, and so it can be a lonely, isolated life. But you can develop friends and get friendships going on and all that stuff. Back on the divorce, from what I understand, it's not an ongoing thing. Usually, it's like a one-time decision, and they make their decision, and then they cut. That's it. They're done. They make the legal decisions. They go to court. They do the legal thing, and then it's done. It's finished. Whereas in the States, they go back and forth, or they drag it or on or whatever. Generally, divorces here, I think, they get a full resolution, and then it's done, and then the parties move on after they come to an agreement. If there is an agreement, then there may be a certain amount of conflict before that point, but usually, eventually, it comes to just a settling of everything, and then they're done and they move on. Which is better? Because how do you meet somebody new if you're still tied up with somebody and all that? But if you have kids, that complicates things. And unfortunately, like I've said before, sometimes the woman will get favoritism with the kid, and then the guy might not get to be able to visit the kid or whatever, or get the child rights that he deserves. People are pretty helpful as far as general transportation. I can't be thankful or grateful enough for times when I get lost on the train, or I'm trying to find a direction somewhere. I need help finding a spot to go to work or a restaurant or whatever, location. Many Japanese people have gone out of their way. They'll take 5 or 10 or even 20 minutes. I've had some people take 20 minutes out of their life just to get me to go where I needed to go. And then go there and actually confirm that I'm at the right place and I'm the right person. So, I'm totally impressed with the help that I've gotten getting places when I get lost. A lot of times I would have been late for jobs, maybe not even made it to jobs because the people went out of their way. That's if they're not in a hurry. I mean, like any big city, if they're in a hurry, they're going to work, they got their own thing going on, they can't help you out. It's understandable, but if you ask enough of people, someone will reach out a hand and they'll help you try and find your way around Tokyo, which is an awfully big city. They'll go above and beyond the call of duty to get you to where you need to go. I mean, I've had guys pay for the train fare for themselves just to get me on the train to the other right train to get to where I need to go. I mean, money out of their own pocket. I mean, that's pretty impressive, and I've had that happen a numerous amount of times. So that's a real plus. What else? So yeah, that's good. There's some good maps. Basic one is this. You can get it online, and you're not going to see it very well because of the quality. But this is the best terrain map they got that I've seen so far since I've been here. And this shows you all your major stops. It's from Tokyo Metro. And it shows you all the major stations and everything. And then on the flip side, it has Japanese. So if they can't read the English, you can flip the map around and show them the kanji, which they understand, and point to it, and then they can get you to the right location by pointing the kanji out. So that's pretty cool. That's another added benefit. Some of their maps are cuckoo clock, but this is the best one. You can get it online. Just look up Tokyo Metro subway map. And like I said, I'm a Tokyo boy. I can't tell you much outside of Tokyo, but in Tokyo I can. And so I've been able to get around this massive city many times with great ease with this map, and asking a few people that were willing to take time out of their lives to help me get me where I needed to go.